Well, good morning, everybody. It is Friday, April the 11th, 2025, and we're back. So grab your morning beverage of choice, or if you're watching this from work, at least don't let your legs go to sleep. So yeah, welcome back to the channel. I'm Richard, this is Lap of the World, and this is this week's installment of Friday Coffee, a video in which we'll hit some of the highlights from this week's earlier videos, as well as answering your questions. We've been treating this as kind of a slow burn Q&A, so if I'll be answering, in this video, I'll be answering questions that were asked in the comments of last Friday's video. And if you want me to answer questions in next Friday's video, please put them in the comments down below on this video. I will read them all. We are still at a channel size where I can do that, so we will take advantage of it, and I will answer all of your questions. But kicking things off, though, with some of our highlights from this week, the first video that you would have watched and hopefully enjoyed on Sunday, it was the our Argentinian volcano racetrack, Circuito Potrero de las Funes. Forgive my pronunciation if that's horrific. I don't speak Spanish, I apologize. Ich kann Deutsch. I'm working on Japanese, not Spanish yet. But that one was a big one for me. I think I had a little personal note at the end of that, and it's not, and all of it is accurate. I can probably credit Potrero de las Funes as being an inspiration for the channel in general and doing a YouTube channel. It put the I don't know what you call it. It baked the pie in the sky for me, I guess, is probably a dumb analogy or a dumb way to state that. But the in great success, my thought with the channel is, if I was pitching this to Netflix, it would be like, all right, so think about, may he rest in peace, like Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown, or whatever, but like but instead of food, it would be car culture and racetracks. So fly around the world, go like dive into some car culture, meet some new people, talk to a bunch of folks and get the context and the vibes, and then go drive a cool racetrack and have a story around the racetrack to tell as well, and kind of package that up in a way that like brings everybody along with you. So we're not there yet. We have 7,300 subscribers-ish at the time of recording here. If we would need the decimal place there to move at least once, maybe twice, before that would be sustainably viable from an economic standpoint without risking not being able to retire at some point. But the inspiration for that plan was, there's this amazing racetrack in Argentina that's in a volcano that's around a resort village that has hosted not only a bunch of like the longest continuously running racing series in the world in Turismo Carretera, but also FIA GT1 cars. So it's not just some, it definitely had like, it's got like kind of what we would call in the US grassroots origins, but it's also hosted big deal racing. And it's sad to see that it's been kind of disassembled, but it's still a road, and road's not going to go anywhere. So the possibility of that being resurrected in the future does exist. But even just to go and like drive around the road, because we've done events in the US, like the Lake Garnett in Kansas, the Lake Garnett Grand Prix revival, where that was smaller scale, granted, but it's like a fishing road around a lake that somebody looked at in the 60s and was like, we can race cars around that. And they did a lot. And then, unfortunately in that case, this happens a lot of times, like some people died and they were like, maybe this isn't the best idea. But with this one, like, that happened. That same story happened. They built it in the 70s. They raced on it. Some people died. It closed in the 80s because they were like, maybe this isn't the best idea. But then somebody came back with a lot of money and was like, hey, we could do a better job of racing cars around there and do it safely. And they did, which is amazing. And anyway, it's such a cool story. And that video, by the way, that's only going to get better with age. So I know this is going to sound obviously like a sales pitch from a YouTuber, but don't only watch that once. Like, watch it, but then come back and watch it again in like 6 months and then read all the comments, because there are already people from Argentina. And if you're one of those folks, thank you very much. We've had people from like San Luis and the surrounding area actually post long comments there, adding a lot of context around the kind of the local and regional situation and the some of the pressures that have been on the track, and as well as like the history of racing at the track. So, watch it once. Cool, amazing racetrack that's a roller coaster around this lake and a resort village inside a volcano. OMG. But then come back and like actually go and deep dive on the history if you're into that kind of thing. Anyway, I've been sitting on that video for a long time because I was kind of probably being a little too precious about it, but I'm glad to see it out the door and glad to see that like a lot of people are watching it and enjoying it, especially the folks that are, close to it. I don't seem, so far, nobody has scathingly responded with a bunch of stuff that I got super wrong, other than confusing the two of the Turismo series in Argentina, because I dropped the ball on that one. I just assumed that one had changed its formula, but there's Turismo Nacional, which is like a lower one, it seems like, and then there's Turismo Carretera and TC2000, which are two separate things, but both kind of top level for the national motorsports there. Anyway, that was a fun one to get out the door, and I'm glad people are enjoying it. But moving on, second video. We won't spend a lot of time on it. I was putting the front plate on the NSX via the Science of Speed Stealth front plate bracket, mainly in an effort to avoid the wrong kind of attention when we drive through places that do require front plates. Tennessee does not, but we've been other places that do. So far, no issues, but we've heard anecdotes, and we plan to do a lot more traveling, so we had that one off at the pass. Moving on, though. Let's answer some of your questions, and I'll apologize for reading my screen here for a second as I scroll around here. We'll get some of the quick hitters out of the way. So let's see here. One person's asking, which car lift do you use, and would you recommend it? Now, I just went ahead and answered it in the comment last week because I didn't want to hold anybody up if they were looking to buy something, before the tariffs hit. But it is it's a quick jack, the one that you've seen in several of a lot of our DIY videos since 2021 or 2022. It's a quick jack 5000L, and the L is like, it's a little bit longer than the standard length quick jack. There's also an even longer one, the XL, and you do want to pay attention to that, because if you have a longer car or truck, especially, the L and the XL both extend the distance that's possible between the jack points that you would, the lift points, and it also increases the lift height. So I think this one gets the car up off the ground like 18 to 20 inches, give or take. It's more than enough for me to comfortably roll under it in a creeper without, I don't have to suck it in or anything to do that. The setup was probably, I'd give it like it's like a 6 out of 10 on setup. You kind of have to know what you're doing and have to be comfortable around hydraulics and know how to, and be patient with the bleeding process, and then be fairly precise with your pressurization of the air canisters on either side that kind of control the letdown speed. But otherwise, since I took the time to do that, it has been rock solid. I've had no issues with it. It's worked every time I wanted it to. So moving on then to the other sort of short question we have in here. Oh, I see this is from our friend Josh over at Climbers Carport, aka TSX Travels, depending on where you find him on the internet. Are you closing on 700,000 yet on the TSX? I don't know. Anyway, go give him a follow if you have a chance. It's a good ride if you are wanting to plumb the depths of Honda sedan reliability. But he just asks bluntly, Datsun ? Question mark. Yeah, I know. So we have for those unfamiliar, we have a 1975 Datsun 280Z over here that is it's been the stereotypical forever project, I guess is what I would call it. everybody kind of has one car that they just have laying around that they're like, I'll finish it someday. I've had that one since 2012. I bought it as a way to like teach myself to do all the things on a car, like try and teach myself body work and do some other stuff to it. Because I'll be completely honest, I had watched Wong on Midnight one too many times, and it came for sale locally. It was cheap and basically has no rust on it. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. But it is still sitting over there in the corner. It has been there since 2017 when we moved. Hashtag Grand Wind Parked. Don't lowball me. I know what I got. But yeah, it needs some attention. It may or may not get attention. I may just start referring to that car as like, something that I'm going to like restore, go through, put a little effort into it, restore it, probably let somebody else do the body work to it. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll sell it to fund some adventure or another that's bigger than what we could just swing on our own. But I don't know. Again, pie's in the sky. It's out there. But so that's the story with the Datsun. We will get to it. It's not forgotten. I still like it, but it will have to wait for its turn. Let's see here, and then that brings us to the we're getting our friend Acura 2G back with the asking the hard questions here, the going deep on the hitting me with the journalism here. So with tariffs likely to impact the car world and car part prices, how will this impact owners of older JDM cars where the OEM parts are primarily sourced overseas? That would be like gives the NSX and the Legend as examples. Will parts availability diminish more than it already has, and will parts just become too costly for owners? And will this impact the value of cars like the NSX? So in that, I'll stay in my lane here on that with respect to those cars and stuff. So I think overall car prices, there's going to be a balance there, right? Because yeah, the parts are more expensive, but the parts for a lot of those, like, the truly classic Japanese cars, the parts are not the biggest piece of the puzzle. Like, they're not the biggest piece of the equation. And if anything, for people who are really serious about restoring them, it's probably actually going to, like, it may help the actual supply of parts that there will be fewer people trying to buy them right now because of the tariffs. So if you really needed something that would otherwise be hard to find and you're still willing to pay for it, that piece of it I don't think is going to, overall just flat availability. That's basically just production, supply, and demand. Like, how much demand is there for it? If there's a part that people stop buying because they are priced out of it by the tariff situation, that could become, that could be a thing, right? Because it's not like, for these vintage parts, it's not worth anybody's time really to, a big company's time to, like, Nissan with their continuation parts, for instance, for the, like, Skylines. It's not worth their time to, like, onshore production of that into the U.S. to avoid tariffs because the volume just doesn't support it. And they figure if you've got enough money to import a Skyline into the U.S., you have enough money to pay the extra 25% to pay for the parts too, which is to some degree, I guess, accurate. As far as the car values, I don't see people getting priced out of that by parts cost. Kind of everything's gotten more expensive, so this is just one more instance of that. I don't have as dim an outlook as some people might, but I also see for, like, the car values themselves, I think if you have a classic Japanese car that is already onshore, you've got a JDM car that you've already imported, you're cleared through customs, you've gotten your R32 GTR, and I think your stock is probably going up because as the new cars get more expensive, that used car market gets more enticing. So that's kind of that's an angle that you could look at it that way. Is like in general, like, as new car prices go up, used cars usually get stronger. I don't know that I see those tariffs in that manner of speaking. I'm not an economist, but I would seriously doubt they last a super long time. Not financial advice, But yeah, for my part, I'm not going to be too bothered with it. I did make a point to buy a few things that I was going to need for future maintenance. When the tariffs were sort of floated out there, I went ahead and bought some stuff because I knew that prices were probably going to go up. But now that they have, I'm just going, okay, if there's things that are optional that have to come from overseas, they can be optional a little while longer. So I don't know. That's kind of where I am. I don't think it's going to price anybody out of restoring a car because, I mean, yeah, it's not a cheap hobby. Anyway, slice it. But anyway, so that was those were our questions from last week. Hopefully those were, hopefully those were some satisfactory answers, or at least food for thought and were applicable. So that leaves us with what you can expect up next on the channel. So we are probably going to go back and we're going to do a little catching up on the channel. I think in coming weeks, coming month, we'll just bucket it out to a month here. We'll have some how-to videos, some of the logistical help videos that I think people have found actually fairly useful for going and visiting tracks themselves. There are a few places we've been that I have all the information for that I never made one of those videos because that was kind of a later that video series. I didn't start it until we'd already been several places, and so we'll go back and catch up on that a little bit to help people that have some of the more, especially some of the more obscure tracks, to help people just in their planning to go and visit these places. So you can expect to see some of that. We're going to keep going with track of the month. Not going to tell you which track is next, but you can expect more of that. And then you can also expect, we're going to have some road trip content come up that I've been kind of similar, well, not as long, but I've also been sitting on this video for a while, unpublished, for reasons that will become very obvious once I publish it. But you can look forward to that coming up. I think that should be a fun one. It'll be a little bit of something different. And then we will, I think we've done what we're going to do on the NSX for right now. You may ask me, why is the trunk open, Richard? Well, I discovered after I repinned and rebuilt the entire trunk connector, main trunk harness connector, and everything worked fine for about a week. And then I lost a blinker, and then the brake light warning lamp came back on, and I was like, okay, what is going on? Because this is the whole point of doing that, going that far with it, was to not have any of these problems. But what you might, you're like, well, hey, Richard, if you could have that pin and tab connector issue with the main trunk harness connector, then guess what? It affects all the other connectors in the trunk. So I had to also fix one of the blinker pigtails to deal with that. And then after a bunch of digging around, I did actually go in and have to re-crimp one of the body side of the brake light warning lamp wire that I had in my new connector, and that was just me being all thumbs when it comes to electrical stuff, and that took care of that. So now everything is working again, and I just wrapped that up though, so that's why the trunk is open back there. But all's good. Everything works now. I misled no one in the video that I published there. Always concerned. So anyway, car-wise, we'll probably have a little bit of a change of scenery in here soonish. One or two other things that probably not going to be film-worthy for this car, but we'll see. Maybe not. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to leave it for now. Again, I hope everybody has a great weekend, which is by this point in time, hopefully not too far away. And enjoy the rest of your Friday for that matter as well. Until next time, I'm Richard. This is Lap of the World. We'll see you all in the next video, if not at the track.